Hello and welcome back to the EV Life podcast. I'm Crystal, and today I have a great interview for you to listen to. I'll be speaking to Sumreen Rattan, who is one of the co-founders of a company called Moment Energy. And what's really interesting about this company is that they're not an EV battery recycling company, but they're actually a second life company, and they provide energy storage solutions using repurposed batteries from electric vehicles. So I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Sumreen. If you have any thoughts or comments on this episode, please be sure to join the EV Life group on the AMA mobile app and share them with me. I'd be happy to chat with you in there. Take a listen. Hi, Sumreen. Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Can you start off just by telling our audience who you are and who you work for and what your role is there?
For sure. So my name's Sumreen. I'm one of the 4 co-founders and COO at Moment Energy. And in my role, I oversee our company's supply chain and operations, meaning I work very closely with our suppliers and automotive companies to help them understand the value of what we do, which is repurposing electric vehicle batteries into energy storage systems.
And yeah, so that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about today. So this is a little bit different than just recycling the batteries that come out of electric vehicles. So can you maybe differentiate a little bit about the difference between recycled batteries and second life batteries?
Definitely. And that's a really great question. I think in industry, it's very common to use recycling and repurposing interchangeably, but in reality, they are entirely different processes. So when it comes to repurposing EV batteries, we take batteries from electric vehicles once they've been retired, and they, on average, have 80% of their original capacity remaining once they're removed from the car.
Oh, wow. That's quite a lot.
It is. It's very significant. So when we look at these batteries and we test them, it makes a lot of sense to put them into secondary applications because of that remaining capacity. So we repurpose as much of the battery as we can, and then we'll create systems around it. So we'll produce energy storage systems using racks where we can insert the batteries into. We have additional electrical components that get added, safety components, a mechanical designed enclosure, cooling. So there's a lot of extra things that go into it, but we inherently change the purpose of the battery from being used to operate an EV to now being used in a stationary energy storage application. So that would be the main differentiator on the repurposing side. But to talk about recycling a little bit, on recycling, you would actually completely deconstruct the battery pack down to the materials and shred them so you can get those materials and minerals and precious metals out, and then reform and create brand new battery packs, which is very different from what we do, which is taking the existing battery as it is and repurposing it.
So I'm really surprised to hear that when you repurpose the batteries, there's still about 80% of its life left. So do you know why why are these batteries, I guess, no longer used in electric vehicles when there is still so much of use left in it?
That's another really good question. So with batteries in the EVs, typically when you have, let's just say that somebody buys a brand new electric vehicle, they're expected to get 400 kilometers on a full charge. So maybe in the first few years, they see that they are getting 400 kilometers every time they charge it. But as time goes on and that battery degrades, they are getting less and less of that original range that they have. So maybe at some point they will have 200 kilometers of range on a full charge. And at that point, that battery pack is removed from the vehicle, which is a very high power application for the battery. When you're charging and discharging it, when accelerating the vehicle, you're drawing a lot of electricity from the battery pack itself. But now when we take these batteries and put them into energy storage applications, it's a much less stressful application for the battery. We have lower charge and discharge rates, which means that you can actually optimize the lifetime of the battery. And when it comes to achieving the capacity that's needed for our applications, we can put as many of these battery packs together to fulfill the goals for our power needs. But when it comes to a vehicle driver, they're limited by space where they can't just add another battery pack when their capacity reduces of the existing one.
So can you tell us a little bit about some of the uses for these second life batteries?
Sure. Yeah, there's lots of different spaces they can be used for. So if we talk about the stationary energy storage market, there is a market for residential applications where there's homeowners that want to install energy storage to support their houses in cases of blackouts, or maybe to store renewable energy if they've got solar panels on the roof. Then there's commercial and industrial customers, which is the market that we service. So that could mean manufacturing buildings that are trying to reduce their energy bills and have stabilized electricity and power needs to support their operations. It could also mean commercial buildings that want to install EV chargers, but aren't able to get that power that they need from the electrical grid without doing expensive upgrades. So that's another space that we can support commercial and industrial customers, where they don't need to go in and ask their local utility to upgrade the grid, and they can instead install our systems to support and level out their energy needs. So those are just some of the markets. There's also utility scale, but we see in the EV space that using these batteries for commercial and industrial applications works very well, just for the design of the battery and what the capabilities of the battery are. It ends up being a good technical match as well.
I find it interesting that the batteries are being taken out of electric vehicles, but in some cases they are still supporting them in charging infrastructure. So kind of a full circle application there. But I'm just wondering, what are the challenges to using second life batteries, or are there any challenges that you've sort of come across?
There are, I think in the second life space, I would say one of the challenges is aggregating and collecting all the EV batteries into one space and being able to optimize the logistics and transportation around that. So right now, there are not very many facilities where these batteries can be sent to be removed from the car. Typically, it would be the dealership itself, but sometimes consumers aren't aware of that. So that's a challenge that I think will be able to be addressed as EV adoption increases and more of these service centers are established, so that the batteries can be collected and sent off to companies like us, as education in the industry also increases on why repurposing is viable and important. So that's one that I would flag.
So are you primarily getting the batteries that you use for your applications? Are they primarily coming from the dealerships, or are there other places that you're getting them right now? Or is that sourcing, just like you said, it is a challenge, but I'm just curious to know where you're primarily getting these batteries.
We do work directly with automakers. So in that case, it can come directly from dealerships where the batteries are sent to us. It can also be from a collection facility on the automotive company side, if they have one, where we can pick up truckloads of these batteries at once they've been shipped over from the dealership to a central location. So those are the two different variations, but there's also in the market today, there's lots of batteries that end up with dismantlers, sometimes prematurely going to recyclers. And that's really where we want to get the education out there that second life companies like ourselves exist, where we can repurpose these batteries and they can be sent directly to us.
And how long do the second life batteries typically last once they're in these other use cases?
They, in a second life application, usually can last 7 to 10 years. And that's what we warranty them for our customers as well. So they can get that decade of power from these batteries, even though they've been used in a vehicle before. And
sorry for my ignorance on this, but is there, and I know this is all relatively new, but I'm just wondering because you're primarily serving commercial clients, can they be updated? So, or does the battery need to be completely removed once it's kind of the end of the life? Or is there, I guess, a situation where it's being maintained like every few years, so it doesn't have to be completely replaced once it comes to like the complete end of life?
That's a good question. So when it comes to serviceability of the energy storage systems, that is a goal of ours to make sure that these units are modular, meaning that, let's say in one energy storage cabinet, if there is a module or a pack that's no longer viable, that doesn't mean you have to replace the whole system. You can go in and take out that battery pack and swap in a new one. So that's our vision of being able to make sure that we can use all the infrastructure around the battery and then just replace the batteries as they reach the end of their usable life. Where at the end of the energy storage life, if the battery has now dropped down to a capacity where it can't be used, then we would send this to be recycled to really close that loop when it comes to the circular economy.
Wonderful. And so for our listeners who are maybe interested in exploring this for their businesses or, like you said, maybe multi-use buildings, how would they kind of explore that as an option?
So if people are interested in learning more about the product or the solutions that we've developed using these batteries, they can reach out to us on our website. So we've got a web form where they can submit their inquiries. We've got tons of educational resources on our website as well. We've also got a webinar coming up for companies that are based in British Columbia, especially if they're looking at ways to really get value out of these batteries and explore alternative models of the economics for them. There is a way to partner with BC Hydro, and they're going to be joining our webinar as well to talk about that with an energy storage incentive program. So there's a lot of different avenues for them to connect with us and learn more about the company. And if people want to reach out to me personally as well, they can connect with me on LinkedIn.
So can you tell me a little bit about what areas in Canada you service?
For sure. So right now we have a facility set up just outside Vancouver in Coquitlam, which is our headquarters right now. And we build out all our energy storage systems here for the North American market. So there's a massive opportunity in the US, Canada, Mexico, and even beyond for energy storage, just because the electrical grid has so much demand on it that we need to put infrastructure in place to ensure that EV adoption and the growth in our power needs can be addressed without having problems like rolling brownouts or blackouts. So for us, seeing this massive opportunity, we are working on expanding our footprint in Vancouver. And at the same time, we received funding from the US government, from the Department of Energy, to establish the world's first battery repurposing gigafactory.
That's exciting. So what is that?
So what that means is that we would be producing energy storage systems using Second Life batteries at a scale that's never been done before. So the term gigafactory was coined earlier by some other companies in the industry, but it really just quantifies the capacity of energy storage that would be produced from that facility and being available to the public in the form of an energy storage system. So we'll be setting up this plant in the next 2 years.
Do you know where the location will be just yet, or are you still figuring that out?
We're still figuring that out. We've got some contenders. I think if you see our website, you'll notice certain names being put in there. But yeah, we're definitely exploring the best spot for the location right now.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we'll include links to the website for our listeners if anyone is interested in checking that out. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Just that we really believe in sustainability, and we hope that the listeners out there that are interested in our story reach out to us, spread the word about repurposing, and we're constantly hiring new team members as well. So if you're interested in working with Moment and being a part of our growth and scale up as we establish our next facility in the US and expand our existing facility in Canada as well, we'd love to bring more people on board to fulfill our vision of repurposing all EV batteries.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the EV Life podcast. Make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And if you'd like to join the conversation, you can always do so in the EV Life group on the AMA mobile app. We'll talk to you in the next episode.